welcome to Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you up to date on all the wonderful things happening in the faith film industry. Thank you for tuning in today. Here's a little bit about my guest. Born in Tampa, Florida, Candace began acting before entering school. Her mom said that she began talking at 6 months and could imitate anyone she heard singing or speaking. When Candace was 3, she snuck away from her mom, oh my goodness, in a large department store and stood on a stage singing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and numerous nursery rhymes. Oh boy, Candace. As a Christian, she began to examine all the roles that she was being offered. What was the message? What was the takeaway for the audience? Is this something that I wanted to represent, she thought. Then she remembered this verse. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? That's Matthew 16:26. So after much prayer, Candace left the industry. Candace, welcome to Faith on Film.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here with you today.
Well, thank you. You have got a very interesting story, I think, and it's one that I believe our viewers really need to hear, because it doesn't matter what industry they're in. If there's something there that really goes against their Christianity, against their Christian beliefs, that's something that they are then faced with a choice that they have to make, and it's not an easy choice. But you made it, so tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, where do I begin? Do you want me to begin when I became a Christian first, or what happened?
No, in fact, how did you even get started in acting? Aside from escaping from your mom and getting on a stage.
Well, first of all, I did not come from a Christian home, and so my parents divorced when I was 4.
Oh.
So I went back and forth between them, and for many, many, many years, me and my siblings did. But when my mom had custody, she would drop us off at a nursery before she went to work.
Okay.
And even then, I would start doing shows. They would try to keep us entertained, and they would have skits and shows. And I'm like, oh, yeah, so I could do this. So when I then went into first grade, I was already singing and acting, I guess. So I was like, anything, sign me up for it. And I continued to do that throughout all of my schooling. Elementary school, middle school, high school. And then I went to college for it. I got a full ride for college for academics as well as for acting. And I got my bachelor's and trained in method acting. And then I decided, I think I want to go to graduate school. So I auditioned, got into a graduate program with FSU, studied at the Oslo Conservatory, and studied Sanford Meisner. And I got my MFA in that. And then while there, I actually got my professional equity card. I was doing a show which I loved called Eleemosynary, and got my it's a play about it. It's a 3-woman show. So I got my equity card, graduated, moved to New York, and thought, yes, I'm going to do this. I finally made it. I'm in the city, and I'm doing what I want. And I was actually doing well. I got an agent. I was doing a lot of stage traveling internationally as well. I did a couple of shows abroad in Ukraine and different parts of that area, as well as in London. And then when I came back, I started getting small roles in TV and film.
Okay.
And I had recurring parts on a couple soaps, nothing major. But then I was being offered larger roles. And I started reading the scripts. And during that time, God was really working on my heart and asking me about the content.
Were you a Christian now at that point, or were you still
Well,
not
I was
really
a Christian. I became a Christian when I was 6 years old.
Oh, okay.
I got on a bus that came by our house and took you to Sunday school, and I heard the gospel, and I thought, okay, that is what I want.
Yeah.
So I became a Christian then, and it was always a part of me, of my childhood. But when I was in New York City, I was very active in a church when I was in the city, and when I would go out of town to do a show, I was involved with churches there.
Okay.
But here, I think as I grew in my faith and in my walk, I started really examining the content. What is the
Hmm.
message? What is the takeaway? And I remember my agent sending me up for a show that had been brought to New York City from Toronto off Broadway, and it was a huge hit there. And he's like, they are interested in you and they want to look at you for taking over a specific role. So I got a ticket, went and saw the show, and it was offensive. That's just put it mildly. And I called him up and said, I can't do this. And he said, why not? And I said, have you seen the show? And he said, no, it's a really big hit. You need to seriously consider this. And I asked him, I said, I would like you to go see the show. Well, that didn't go over well. And then I got a script for a film, and the same thing. I had this great role in it. It was a really nice role. But I said, could I see the whole script? And when I read the entire script, the message that the audience would take away at the ending did not resonate. It didn't sit well with me. And again, I came before the Lord and I'm like, Lord, I can't do this. So I went back to my agent and he's like,
Wow.
you're going to need to separate your religion from your work. They have nothing to do with one
Oh,
another.
wow. Wow.
So
So you did. You technically did separate it. You just didn't go the way that he was hoping you would go, but you went the way that really you should go. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a little break right now. And when we come back, we want to hear all about what happened at that point where you, I guess, made the decision to leave the industry. All right?
all right, thanks.
Great. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Got a postcard from the grandkids. They went to the Ark.
Yeah. What does it say?
Well, Annie says they had a blast and that it's really, really big.
Everything looks big to a 6-year-old.
Well, Hudson says it's even bigger than the castle.
Can't be that big. Can it? Go ahead. Think bigger.
Encourage TV. Family-friendly and faith-friendly content absolutely free. Subscribe today and watch hundreds of hours of content on our streaming channels. Visit encouragetv.com today.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with Candace Kirkpatrick today, and she's sharing with us the story of how she technically left her acting career because of just the offensiveness of what she was being offered. And I got to tell you, that's a big decision for anybody to make, whether it be in acting or any career, really, is if you're faced with that decision. It's not an easy one because that is your livelihood. So what do you do? Well, let's find out what Candace did. Candace, go ahead and just continue the story of what happened at that point.
All right. Well, I prayed a lot about it and I sought wise counsel. I talked to others about it and I even sought out to see if there was Christian work or faith work, family oriented work being done, and there wasn't at that time, or if it was not being done very well. Like you would find these little startup theater companies that were doing Christian work, and it was not done well. And they would say, "But we're doing it for God." And I would think, "No, then you need to do it with excellence and integrity.
Right.
You need to be better than what's out there." And so after much prayer, I left the business, and that was difficult. I honestly, you were correct. It was very difficult for me because I had been doing it my whole life up until that time. And so I prayed. I said, "Lord, give me the desires of your heart. What is it that you want me to do?" And so I had been recently married before I left the business. I started teaching women's Bible studies. I taught college-age women. I was that age myself. I taught young adults. I taught, led different prayer ministries. And then I had started having a family of my own, and I wrote and directed for schools and churches for 2 decades. I wrote plays and directed them. Throughout the years, through summer school, during the summer I would do vacation Bible school and I'd write scripts for that. And I did some audiobooks during that time as well, but mostly I was just spending time with the Lord and raising my family.
Wow. So you didn't really, you left your career, but you didn't really leave your calling, which is, of course, the storytelling, because you really continued doing that, didn't you?
Well, I do believe that the arts can impact people because there are people who are going to read a book or see a play or go to a movie that are never going to enter a church.
Right.
And I think the content should exalt him. He desires that none should perish, but all should come to know him. And I feel that to do quality work that will point to him or be a light, that was always my passion.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Well, at the end of most shows, I always say something like, remember, if you want to keep your health, your soul healthy, you got to feed it healthy entertainment. And one of these days, I'm going to have to take a whole segment of this show and just explain why I say that. But right now, very briefly, just what I'll say is that just like you feed your body, foods, and if you eat healthy foods, you're a healthy body, and if you eat unhealthy junk food, you're an unhealthy body. Same way as with your soul. If you feed it unhealthy entertainment, you're going to have an unhealthy soul. And so it's important to keep doing what you're doing because we need that healthy storytelling, that healthy entertainment that'll keep our souls, healthy and working properly, if you will. So I'm glad you continued to do that. But of course, your original intent was actually the acting. And so how difficult was it to not really be involved in that?
Initially, it was very difficult. I had a couple friends that prayed with me regularly that he would be my greatest desire, that he would take that desire away from me, and that he would replace it with things that was edifying, that would exalt him, that gave me joy. And he did do that. I didn't want anyone else raising my kids. Again, coming, as I said, from a broken family, I wanted to be in their lives and influential and what they did, and also helping navigate them, training them up in the way they should go.
Yes.
But I also wanted to share my love for the Lord with others, whether it was teaching or writing or directing. So I've actually taught Bible for more than 2 decades as well, and
Nice.
I have a passion for the Word.
Well, something
that
else. Well, something else that I know about you is that you have a real passion for prayer, and I know that you have set up a war room, if you will, in your house, a prayer closet. Was that something that you did prior to the movie War Room, or did that kind of give you the idea?
Well, I'm ashamed that I didn't start it immediately when I saw the War Room.
Okay.
I've always been a prayer warrior because, it's like breathing for me, 24/7 to be in continual prayer. But a crisis happened in my family, and I realized, man, I was small potatoes in the prayer category. Here I was praying. I thought I prayed all the time, but this just leveled me prostrate before the Lord, and I transformed my closet. In the War Room, she takes everything out. I don't have that luxury. I just shoved everything over, and on the left side, I have the entire left side is about how God views work, and that He has created work in advance for us to do to glorify and honor Him, that it is significant. And on the right side of my prayer wall is everyone else's prayer requests, whether it's raising children or jobs or health issues.
Yeah.
And that is my most favorite place in my house, is to spend time in there. When I am feeling frustrated or out of control or anxious or wanting to fix things, I go in there and I spend time with Him and in His Word. And when I come out, I realize He is sovereign, He is control, and I need not be anxious, but just trust Him completely. He is working out all things for His glory and my good.
Amen. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take one more break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what I think is actually the answers to some of your prayers that you've prayed there in your prayer closet. So folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Just one life, a perfect love. And your heart starts beating hard. I'm gonna keep on dreaming. I wanna feel that love. I wanna get that feeling. I wanna get that feeling.
You know they say it's really big.
What's really big?
An ozark, silly.
Oh, I know. It's bigger than the size of our house.
It's a little bigger than that.
Like the size of 2 houses. No, 2 houses and a spaceship. I bet it's even bigger than the castle.
Don't be ridiculous. That's impossible.
This summer, think bigger.
Meet Will. Will wants to make a movie based in Bible times. No, maybe a Western. Well, maybe an apocalyptic movie. A biblical era apocalyptic Western? That would be so original. But Will needs some sweet sets to bring it to life, and Will is 25,352 miles away from any of those sweet, sweet sets. Or so he thinks. Fortunately for Will, there is a solution. Introducing Capernaum Studios, your ticket to realistic locations and everything else you need to bring your period-accurate story to life. Book a tour today, like Will, who is, yet to leave.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with Candace Kirkpatrick today, and I want to show you a quick clip of some of the work that she's involved with right now.
We think it might be best for you to move back out again. He found a halfway house that a friend from church recommended.
Mom, what?
I really think you would like the halfway house if you give it half a chance. I mean, they have nightly prayer sessions, and I even think
Mom, I am not going.
Dylan, I need you to take this place seriously. And Freddie was quirky. My goodness, was that kid quirky. I am heartbroken beyond belief. But I am thankful that this is not the end. Having the right life insurance has a way of keeping you healthy, right?
I guess so.
For sure, David, think about it. Just knowing and having your future planned responsibly, it gives you a good night of sleep. And that's our job, to make sure you and your loved ones rest peacefully. Takes out all those surprises. No, you have every right to be angry. But instead of taking your anger out on me and on God and on your friends and even yourself, you need to channel that anger into healing. Did you think that by coming to these sessions that you would be magically better in a month or so after 5 years of abuse? You're just gonna give up on us after 20 years.
I'm not happy in this relationship.
Well, then let's get counseling. Let's work it out.
I'm ready to move on.
You can't leave.
Are you still writing in that diary?
I told you it's a journal.
Whatever. Look, keep your socks out of my load.
Mom, I have something important to tell you. I'm dying.
Shut up.
Wow, so it looks like you are starting to get back into your acting now, and God's answering some of your prayers. Can you tell us what's going on here? What are some of the parts you're getting?
Well, right now that we're in quarantine, I'm working on a short film for the Quarantine Film Festival with a wonderful actress out of Georgia named Sharon, and a really great writer from California named Shelley Payno, which is interesting when you're in quarantine that you can work with people everywhere because it generates a lot of creativity. But on the fun side, which is will tie into my prayer closet very shortly.
Okay.
I'm working on a new script it's a powerful true story about a woman in Texas named Dana Cryer. And when she was kidnapped as a child and kept in a cellar for 5 years. It's a powerful story. It's been written by Carol Stovall Hamilton, and I play the mother-in-law of her when she is young that helps lead her to the Lord, which is blesses my soul. And then to go to my prayer room, in my prayer closet, I had written that there was a person that I really wanted to work with and that would just bless me. And her name is Karen Abercrombie.
Oh, yes.
And from the War Room.
From War Room.
You know? Yes. And she asked me to show her some of my work. And she is working on a fantasy drama, episodic, hoping to get picked up by Netflix or Hulu or whatever, called Angel, where she has created it, written it, and she is the lead, and I am to play Sister Anne.
Oh,
and that
goodness.
is a huge answer to prayer.
Yes.
So I'm thankful for each of these opportunities to be a part of them and to help tell these stories.
Wow. You know, when I first asked you to be on the show, you wrote back and you said, you know what, you've got all these people on the show that have done all these things and they've got all these accolades and everything. And I really haven't done anything lately, but I remember answering you back and saying, you know what, the program here is not about what you've done as much as your journey to where you're at today, because you seem to be on this journey that is really going to propel you into something huge. And I think people need to hear about that, you know, that sometimes it might seem like you're in a stall mode, but you're not. You're just kind of following the road that God has already prepared for you. What do you feel about that? I mean, are you excited and about what God's about to you?
Well, I'm praying that is so, but more than anything, I just want to be his hands and feet.
Yes.
One of the, besides scriptures and prayer requests on my wall, one of them it says that God is preparing you for what you have been praying for. And that's what I've been praying, that if he brought me back into this industry, that I would just honor him.
Amen.
Because I don't think we need to be in this covert operation, anything. I don't think it should be a secret. You know, we should be able to give testimony to what we believe.
Amen.
And that he is our hope.
Amen.
And to play a character, and again, I don't care how broken the character is, as long as you see that there is redemption in Christ, then sign me up. I'd want to be a part of that story.
Well, I'm very happy and very excited for you, Candace. And I'm pretty sure, but if not, just make sure that I'm one of those people on your prayer wall, okay?
You are.
Oh, I knew it. Well, listen, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and just follow you, find out what you're doing, maybe just let you know that they're praying for you, how would they reach you?
You can go to my website, which is CandaceKirkpatrick.com. But I'll take prayers anytime. And if you have anything you want me praying for, just honestly, it is my privilege. It is my joy.
Oh, that's wonderful.
to do so.
That's wonderful. Well, Candace, thank you for accepting this invitation to be with us here. I really believe that you're going to inspire a lot of folks out there. So I really appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of your show.
Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Encourage TV. Family-friendly and faith-friendly content absolutely free. Subscribe today and watch hundreds of hours of content on our streaming channels. Visit encouragetv.com today.
Where, madam, do you get your facts?
Tis in your journal, sir. Tis all in your journal.
Some would have you to believe today that all of this is the work of chance and not that of divine providence.
Good morning, Major Washington. His Lordship said that you are to insist that the governor send you with a letter addressing Mr. Christopher Gist.
They butchered him in front of his wife and children so that no provincial nor Indian not loyal to the French would dare venture to go where you and the governor would have us go.
Many in the House believe your trip to the French Commandant to be theatrics, to induce public sentiment both here and abroad for war.
How, George, do you respond to this indictment, as some would say, to be unreasonable reasoning in the age of reason, sir?
Be aware the consequence if the boy dies in the wilderness.
He led us into Ottawa territory. That Indian will find his brothers, and they will hunt us down.
You eat, and you think like a boy.
What is your name, madam?
To you, my dear boy, I am simply Sally.
Say your goodbyes, Major.
Sit day, Mr. Gist. We are not only emissaries of the crown, but ambassadors of the divine. We shall cross, and without delay.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's program. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Candace today. You know, I also want to remind you to check out Parables Television, a place where you can watch a lot of the movies that we talk about on this program. Movies, documentaries, reality shows, all kinds of great content for you and your family. Simply go to parables.tv and sign up. That's parables.tv. And by the way, it's free, no subscription fee. Also, don't forget, I want to hear from you. Simply write me at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. And you can always follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film. Well, remember, if you want to keep your soul healthy, you've got to feed it some good, healthy entertainment. Till next week, take care.